Hi, my name is Gareth Fry, and I'm an assistant professor of graphic design at Utah Valley University. I'm joined today in this presentation by Jason Fowler, who's an assistant professor of graphic design at Chowan University. For the first part of our theme paper, I'll set the stage by introducing our topic and creating some context. I'll then let Jason take over to allow him to talk about some specific initiatives designers can implement in their practices. Given that the title of our presentation is Close the Loophole, we first need to identify where this loophole exists in the graphic design industry. In general terms, we believe that graphic design is underachieving in its role as part of the human family. This might seem like a somewhat odd claim to make because the vast majority of designers would probably assert that they're doing an excellent job of taking care of their clients. And both designers and consumers alike would likely argue that design really doesn't have a specific role to play in society. That's understandable if we view graphic design through the lens we've all been conditioned to use. For designers, that would mean viewing ourselves as service providers for our clients. And for consumers, it would mean being at ease with finding graphic design just about everywhere we go. One of our main objectives in this presentation, therefore, is to question this paradigm and thus the way we view graphic design in the present day. Let's try and unpack this idea a little. At the beginning of the 20th century, futurist, constructivist, De Stijl, and Bauhaus manifestos were all highly idealistic and focused on a variety of lofty principles. Futurists spoke passionately about fearlessness, courage, audacity, and the beauty of speed. Constructivists propounded the preeminence of space and time. The painters, architects, poets, and sculptors at the heart of the De Stijl movement declared the need for a balance between the universal and the individual. And the founders of the Bauhaus sought for a synergistic unity between art and technology. However, the skills these artists and designers possessed were also a kind of magic wand that could be used to help businesses bring their products and services to life and to increase sales. Designers needed work and businesses needed help. So over time, the link between the two became more and more firm. And for designers, playing the role of advocate for their clients' initiatives increasingly became the norm. In many ways, this is just telling a common tale about a part of the capitalist infrastructure. But the problem is that the desire to sell created an extremely one-sided view of the everyday consumers who were exposed to the publicity that was being generated. They were simply viewed as the target audience, and creating a win for them was largely left out of the conversation. Decade after decade, advertising filled airwaves and blanketed towns and cities. Numerous products were sold that were harmful in one way or another. And the glorification of consumer goods engendered widespread consumerism. Receptive, impressionable, yet immeasurably valuable human beings were and are manipulated in the pursuit of profit. Sadly, this is all too familiar to us, and Jason and I view this as the loophole that desperately needs to be recognized and closed. In stark contrast to the manifestos I previously mentioned, the original First Things First manifesto, which was published in 1964, bemoaned the use of the talents of graphic designers and photographers for the purpose of selling products such as hair restorer, striped toothpaste, slimming diets, and cigarettes. It called for a reversal of priorities in favor of the more useful and more lasting forms of communication, and hoped designers' skills would be used for worthwhile purposes. We would agree with that, but we would also assert that we ought to be more specific about what we mean by worthwhile purposes. As the subtitle of our presentation states, our more precise proposal is that we endeavor to place the fulfillment of human needs at the very center of graphic design. That means we don't simply content ourselves with pleasing our clients and creating beautiful portfolio work, as worthy as those causes are, but that we conscientiously seek to help others to fulfill their fundamental needs. These needs range from being able to obtain essential food and water, to feeling safe and loved, to being able to accomplish the things for which each of us is uniquely made. From the distant vantage point of our workplaces, it's easy to lose sight of these precious needs and to solely focus on doing our clients' bidding. So this presentation seeks to entreat designers to close the loophole in the design industry by learning a new way of seeing, by changing their view of the role they play in society, and by placing the fulfillment of human needs at the very center of their practices. And this is where Jason will continue the narrative to discuss some specific initiatives.
Thank you, Gareth. Hello, everyone. As Gareth said, my name is Jason Fowler, and I believe, as Gareth does, that if you're listening to this presentation, you are immeasurably valuable. And if you happen to be a designer, our challenge to you is simple. Put people first in your design process and your design thinking. The best steps to take towards putting people first in our design process is to first listen to, learn from, and then collaborate with the people for whom our work is intended. I know in challenging my fellow designers this way, I'm asking a lot. In fact, early in my own design career, I allowed modernist ideas about graphic design and the pursuit of the capitalist and the commercial to slowly become a cloud over my own design career, and in turn, steal the joy of creating from the design work I was making, as well as remove any consideration by me of the impact my work had on my audience, other than to initiate a financial transaction. So I started listening. I listened to potential customers and clients about their personal pursuits and desires, and not just their financial needs. I learned from these relationships how I could better serve them as a whole person, and I sought collaboration with them by welcoming their input and ideas into my design work in order to continually and more positively impact all who are affected by my design work now and in the future. That is why this presentation and the idea of centering our design practice on human needs first is so important. Promoting a more physiologically and emotionally healthy lifestyle through our design offerings will only help in creating a happier and more grounded society, which will in turn open doors for people to discover their deeper purpose in life. If this cycle continues on perpetually, it will have the power to beautifully and genuinely benefit all of mankind for generations. A rising tide raises all ships. So how do we do it? How do we as designers, often the low man on the corporate totem pole, make an impact where we are? The answer is in our values. What we value will determine what we pursue and will determine the design collateral that we are willing and unwilling to create. Will you help your company promote products that you know are unhealthy? Will you create the advertisement for the event whose goals do not align with your own? Will you guide others in the chase for the almighty dollar, or closer to becoming mighty themselves? The choice is yours. You are the designer. You get to choose what work you create, and along with making work that aligns with your values, you should also make work and your designs themselves more beautiful. Whether they know it or not, aesthetically beautiful design work impacts people deeply, and work that is unattractive can have an equal and opposite impact on your audience. In fact, in her book, The Substance of Style, Virginia Postrel explains that aesthetics is not a luxury, but a universal human desire. Beautiful design work aids people on their path to self-actualization. And now we have our first two steps in creating a more human-centered design practice. Create design work that aligns with your values and hone your craft in order to make it beautiful. With our values aligned and our craft enhanced, the final step in a truly human-centered pursuit of design may be the most difficult. Make work that is personal. And I know from personal experience that it can be scary and hard and endlessly frustrating to try and share yourself with others in a way that is genuine and honest through your design work, but you must try. Ian Lynham, the globally recognized designer, author, professor, and a man I am honored to call both mentor and friend, once told me, in order to create work that is universal, that people will really connect with, it must be personal. The more personal, the better. In all of my experiences since that conversation, I have found this statement on personal design work to be more and more correct. As I share myself with others through my design work, it opens up doors for community and connection with others through shared experiences and feelings. These connections with others are what is truly the most valuable outcome we could ever achieve with our design work. So go. Keep connecting with and learning from those for whom you create your design work. Collaborate with them and welcome their ideas. All along the way, go out into the world and create work that you align with, that you have crafted beautifully, and that feels personal to you. In doing so, you are not only meeting the needs of others, but I think you will find you are meeting your own needs as well. Thank you for joining us for our presentation. On behalf of Gareth and myself, I want to thank our hosts, Design Principles and Practices, for having us and allowing us to share ourselves with you all. Good luck to you all, and God bless.